In three, two, one, action. Welcome to Strange Fruit Sociology again. We have a something that we are wanting to talk about. I know I sent Bruce a text this morning asking him if he saw this. I could not believe it. It was on the Instagram. I don't subscribe to Nick Cannon, but everyone was talking about it, so I checked it out. And apparently he's releasing an album called White People Party Music. Check that out in stores or not. But he posted on the Instagram a picture of him as a character named Connor Smallnut. And he's in Whiteface. He's a party dude in Whiteface. So I wanted to get Bruce's Dr. Hoskins thought on Connor.
Man, you were supposed to go first on this one, man.
Whiteface. No, I want you to
go.
No,
I'm not going to go first. Because I'm going to go serious and just, oh man, it's like I'm looking at the comments and everything, and I'm really perplexed what people don't get about what racism is and what it is not. Okay, look, this is a very bad decision that Nick Cannon made. But it's not bad for the reasons that you might think it is. Quite honestly, he actually looks pretty good as a white dude. Like the makeup people did a really good job with this character. Like I mean, if you look, it reminded me of on a Saturday Night Live. They did the same thing with Eddie Murphy.
$50,000 from our bank, but you have no collateral. You have no credit. You don't even have any ID. Is that correct?
That's right.
Mr. White, I'm sorry. This is not a charity. This is a business. Harry.
But this is not racism. Look, this is what racism is. That the image that's being created of Connor Smallnut is not about that image they were creating about white people is not going to increase incarceration rates of white people. It's not going to get white people turned down for loans. It's not going to change the structure and admittance rates of white people to colleges and things like that. That's what racism will do with the images that get created around this thing called blackface. But this thing called whiteface, look, I get it. It is offensive to some folks. But the idea that this is some kind of double standard, yes, it is a double standard. Because look, the legacy of slavery created this thing called minstrel shows that has this history of blackface and whatnot. And so there's a very different connotation with that than there is of a black person becoming, quote, white, if you would. It's not the same thing. It can be, to whatever degree, offensive, and I can understand that, but it's not racism. It's not going to drastically affect the life chances of white folks and stuff like that. It's like there's not these white skater dudes that are all of a sudden afraid, like, oh my God, it's like, are the police going to be treating us differently because of this image? No, that's not what's going to happen. And so I need you to understand, this may be offensive, but it's sure the hell not racism. Now, what white people should be upset about is the fact that he called his character Walter Smallnuts. That's what you should be offended about. You should be offended about the idea, not that you shouldn't be offended. You can be offended by him being a white persona, but that's what you should really be upset about is the name that he chose to go along with all of this. But anyway, obviously, I just went. I'm sorry.
You went in on that.
I went in on that. I'm saying, I mean, like, for real, like, this is something I'm very passionate about.
Passionate about that.
Anyway, go, do something. Say something now.
I mean, what's there to add to that? I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's really the conversation in terms of is this or is this not racist, something that I know I often get asked. And that's just a weird question when you really start to study race, ethnicity, what it means, where it's come from, the legacy. Particularly, we speak about African American people, right? And this legacy of slavery, which is rooted in the economy, which is rooted in capitalism, which is rooted in religion and all these other cultural aspects, right?
Right.
But one of the things that really you touched upon is it offensive? I think that's the conversation that we should be having. Is this offensive? Yeah, I can't speak for white people. If a white person tells me that this is offensive, I believe you. I trust you. You don't have to put the tag of racism on it for me to understand that that's offensive. Yeah. And I think that's sort of a shift that I would love to see happen in terms of this conversation about what is racist and what is not racism. But also recognizing where this conversation of is this racist or is this racism coming from. During Halloween, there was like an influx of pictures on social media about all the people in blackface, right? There was one celebrity who was the girl from whatever that Netflix show is, Orange is New Black, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, that is racism. And I always point to, well, the difference is, look at all of these anonymous people who participate in blackface. They're anonymous. It has happened over and over and over again historically.
Right.
Now, let's compare that to, one, the number of people who do or have done whiteface. We can name them. Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy. I've been to countless Halloween parties with black people and have never seen a black person go whiteface, right?
Then the Wayans brothers.
White chicks, right?
Oh, my God. Look,
so the fact that quantitatively can count them, just to name that, but then when we look, as you mentioned earlier, the connection to the structure. But the final point is just, why does that victim of racism, why as a white person do you want that victim of being biased against on the basis of race?
Yeah.
Why is that something you aspire to, right?
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about the images, in wrapping this up, think about the images that when white people go to blackface, it's like, what do they do? It's like, you have this line in your poem, I don't know what you call it, white girl, UCSD white girl. Yeah. It's like, look, there's this poem. Check Ant's poem out about this.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug, for real. But that he talks about, it's like, this is the phrase that I'm going to say is, liberating your inner coon-ass nigga.
You're right. I am overreacting to white folks who liberate their inner coon-ass nigga through the culture of black people replacing characters of hip-hop music with stereotypes of Dixie.
Like, when white people go to blackface, they liberate this kind of dysfunctional imagery of being black, and what they do, they wear the do-rags, they're drinking 40s and eating fried chicken and watermelon, which, by the way, I like fried chicken and watermelon, but that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is the overall imagery that they're connecting in these spaces, that they're releasing this kind of buffoonery,
animalistic, right? It's an animalistic beast, urge,
primal, ignorant, all of those things, and they're releasing that when Nick Cannon's character is actually really smartly done. He actually put real thought into this space and did this with some purpose. And so, like I said, I get it if it's offensive, but it is surely not racist. Like I said, there's no white people that need to be afraid of the image that Nick Cannon just created in regards to reducing their life chances.
We don't have to bother with these formalities. Do we, Mr. White?
What a silly Negro.
Let's have a talk about what's offensive and what's not, but surely we should not be calling this racism.
Final thoughts. Bruce says, this is not racist. I say, who is Nick Cannon anyway? Who cares?
Word. Besides Drumline, though. It's like, don't take away Drumline. Drumline was dope. But anyway, we're done. Take it easy, folks.